morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Pit Talk, pulling pits and opinions with your host, Gunny G. Back after a nice little week break after Jason Pierce, the Unicorn Experience. I can't wait for you guys to hear that. Before we get into this session, before we get started, follow, like, subscribe everywhere you get your podcasts, on social media, preferably on Spotify, but whatever tickles your pickle, I'm all for it. You know what I'm saying? Follow, like, subscribe. If you don't like, don't like. If you do like, let me know. And criticism is welcome. I know you can see me on the screen, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're tuning in, that's great. Today we got a special guest hailing in from Royalsford. That's how you say it.
That was pretty good.
Royalsford, yeah, PA, Pennsylvania. If I got that right, too, Jesus. 12th grade high school diploma. We got Paul Johnson on this session, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead and introduce yourself, sir. Have at it.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Yeah. My big thing, I know we're going to get into it, but I got real big into running the past couple of years of my life. But a little bit about me, naval officer, surface warfare officer, about 5-6 years in the Navy now, coming up on that 6-year mark. Spent some time out on the road to Spain, some time in San Diego, destroyer, cruiser life. Joined my time now on shore duty here in Newport, Rhode Island now, as an instructor. But yeah, we're going to get into it, but love getting outside, love running. It's become kind of one of my passions the past year or two. Super excited to talk about it.
Well, I'm super excited not to be an ultra runner, but talk about it for sure. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know Paul Johnson, man, you got to hit him up on Instagram. He's got quite a following, and I don't even think he's marketing a brand. He's just kind of just doing himself in running. But if you don't follow him. It's great. You just get tired watching him. I don't even want to run. I just get tired watching him. It's crazy. But let's get right into it, man. Where are you from? Are you married with kids?
Yeah. Like I said, you were pretty close. Royersford, Pennsylvania. It's a little bit of a mouthful, but yeah, it's Philly suburbs. I grew up there. No kids, no significant other, just kind of rolling through life right now and having fun with it.
Hey, if you don't mind, how old are you?
27.
27, huh? You're hitting middle age, and you're probably. I was talking to last week. I was talking to Chief Warrant Officer 5, United States Marine Corps, Jason Pierce, and I said, "How old are you?" He's in his 40s, right? I go, "Are you married with kids?" He goes, "Nah, it's 27 years of singleness." I was like, "My man, you are the true." I don't know if you watch TV. You probably don't because you're too busy running. But there's a thing called the Golden Bachelor. You heard of that?
I did hear that, yeah.
Yeah, he's the true Golden Bachelor. You're kind of the bachelor in the middle age. You know what I'm saying? That's great. If you now you know Mr. Paul Johnson, single, no kids, the Bachelor, golden. The other guy was a little pale, but it's fine. Jason, shout out. So no, got it. How long have you been? You said 5.5 years. You kind of mentioned you're a surface warfare officer. Did you choose that by trade, or it kind of just fell in your lap?
Sort of. So I went through Reserve Officer Training Corps, ROTC, through Penn State. So I went to school at Penn State, went through their whole 4-year program, and the way that they work that is with a couple different ways, but I was lucky enough to get picked up for a scholarship starting my sophomore year. Went through all the training, ended up commissioning, and when they do, on the Navy side of things, to get sort of, I think you guys call them MOSs, we call them designators, is you kind of put in your preferences for what you want to do. And then you kind of get ranked and assigned, and the Navy picks what you're going to do. So, initially I wanted to go explosive ordnance disposal coming out of college. Didn't work out for me. So I ended up with surface warfare officer.
That sounds legit, to be honest. Sounds kind of secret squirrel. I was thinking when I was reading a little bit about it, I thought you were here in Washington because there's a lot of subs over here. It makes sense to be out here in Washington.
Yeah, no, the Newport now it's like, the joke is always that it's like every SWO at some point, like every 3 years, comes back to Newport. Because all of our like command schools, all of our department head, division officer courses, everybody has to come back through Newport at some point. So it's like you're always seeing the same people in the community coming back and checking in.
Yeah, I see you got a nice
Oh yeah.
beard going. You know what I'm saying? I like it. Too bad I can't get one of those. That sucks. Not you, but just the fact that I can't get one of those.
Yeah.
So it's sweet. You look good. You get blend into the civilian populace. You're doing well, and especially as a runner. You know, nobody will ever know that you're a naval officer.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. We did last summer. The SecNav had us do a study on facial hair and like mask sealing. And so there were probably about 30 people on my ship that we grew it out to about 2 inches. Like I made sure to update my ID card before I had to cut it all off. It's pretty wild. Just like no grooming, just this scraggly like 2 inch beard hanging off everybody on the ship. And then we did a bunch of testing with the SCBA masks. I never had an issue with shaving beforehand, but then ever since that study, it's just like my face cannot handle a razor now for some reason. And I remember like the first week shaving, I was trying to go to talk to my doc about it, and she's like, "I don't even talk to me." She's just like, "Stop shaving." She's like, "Just stop." And then we tried going through the whole process of like, I need to clear up, and we just couldn't get it to clear up. So, yeah,
Dope. I like it. I wish I could have it.
I'm not complaining now.
Yeah, the Marines are super high and tight kind of thing. It wouldn't look good on me. But anyways, so Navy. How has you being in Navy for the last, let's just round up 6 years, benefited your life experiences so far?
Honestly, I think the exposure to the world. I mean, that was one of the really cool things about going as a SWO, a surface warfare officer, is my first ship was forward deployed to Rota, Spain, and there's 4 of us out there doing that mission set out there. So getting the chance to just graduate college, all my friends are getting all these jobs, or they're going to work somewhere, they're going back to school for additional school. And here I am hopping on a plane, flying out to southern coast of Spain, and then just jumping right into it, getting a house with a couple of friends, jumping into a brand new job, brand new world I know nothing about, and getting the chance to just travel all over the Mediterranean, the Baltic, high north, Africa, getting to see all those amazing places. It's really like an eye-opening experience.
Yeah, that sounds so boring. Gosh, Paul, seriously. He's not bloating or anything. He's pretty humble about it. Goodness gracious. Too bad we're not in your shoes. I wouldn't mind going to Spain for my first duty station. Goodness. That's awesome, though, man. Exposure is great. I mean, what would you be doing other than right now? What do you think you'd be doing?
Like, if I wasn't in the Navy or...
A naval officer, yeah.
Oh, man. Honestly, I couldn't tell you, because like when they were doing all the job fairs in college and stuff, I wanted nothing to do with them. I would probably be in some major city somewhere, not too different, pounding through some Excel spreadsheets just like I did with the Navy.
Yeah.
But not getting to go to cool places.
Yeah. Stupid computer. God darn it. So it sounds like it's better prepared you for some endeavors you got going down in your future, maybe some future business endeavors. If you have any, man, let us know. What do you got yourself going into besides being the Navy's face of ultra?
Yeah. In terms of like business endeavors, I haven't really done too much with it, right? But I think like a lot of my friends are kind of we're at that point where basically at this 5-6 year mark for the officer community as SWOs, we have to kind of make the decision, okay, are we staying in the Navy and doing another sea tour as a department head? Or are you going to do some extra time as a shore tour, which is what I'm in right now? Or are you just going to straight up separate from the Navy? And I think a lot of them kind of struggle with making that decision on whether or not they want to separate from the Navy. And I think it's not just my peer group, but people in the military in general, because you're in such this rigid organization that really does, for the most part, everything for you. And it's all you really know for the most part, because you're coming in for the most part straight out of high school, or you get high school, college, and you're coming in straight out of college. There's some individuals coming from OCS who have done the civilian life for a little bit of time, but then you get in this routine with the military. I think a lot of people are kind of scared to take that leap of everything's kind of it's set in stone with the military. I know for the most part what my job is. I'm going to move here or there, but it's going to be there, the job. But making that jump to the civilian world is a kind of a leap into the unknown. I think people get worried about that, but my view of it is no matter what you've done, whether it's officer, enlisted, no matter what your MOS was, you've got a lot of experiences, a lot of leadership and personal development that most people don't see in the time frame that you've experienced it and grown as an individual. And that is such an asset to the rest of the world that as long as you're a driven individual and don't just sit around all day, you're going to be able to find something to do. And I think that's one of the greatest things about when you look at a business endeavor, whether it's you're actually pursuing a business for yourself or you're pursuing work or you're pursuing life outside of the military or even during the military, there's so many options out there that you just have to find something that you enjoy or you want to try to pursue a little bit, and you can make it happen because you are such an asset coming from a military background.
That's good. I like that. So you're not really you're not exactly in business, right? For making money more. Or it's
Right.
as I follow you and I look at your, your personal brand, it's running. And yeah, are
Yeah.
this is side note. Are you getting free shoes from Hoka? Oh.
It's been a back and forth.
Oh.
My local run store gives me more free shoes than Hoka does. I buy so many shoes that they're just like, this pair's on us, dude. Like, just take them. No, we've been talking about some stuff. They sent me 4 pairs a couple of months ago, which sounds like a lot, but with how much running I do, that only lasts me like 2 months. Yeah.
The 2 weeks of pair of shoes. Goodness.
Pretty much.
Jesus.
But no, we're talking about some things. I mean, when you look at the business side of what I'm doing, you're right. I don't run a social media account for the point of making money. When you start becoming, I think, successful in sort of that social media sphere, all the brands start crawling out. They're like, here, we'll send you free stuff. And then you post pictures of it or post videos of it, right? Because they want their free marketing. And that's kind of been not the community and environment that I'm trying to promote through my social media, right? I just want to be like, hey, this is me, I'm doing my thing. And there's a lot of value in that and what you represent for, in this case, you can call my social media my business, right? Even if I'm not making money on it. And it's like I've pretty much turned all those down because I don't want to run ads on my account. That's not what I want to do. I just want to be able to do what I want to do. I don't want to be restricted in that. I don't want people to go, oh yeah, I'm going to watch his account and he's going to sell me shoes or sunglasses or anything like that. And I think that is what has kind of helped that sort of aspect of things grow. It's because, a year ago, my account was, it wasn't too much. It was probably 2,000-3,000 followers. And now a year later, it's like 100+, and it's like to grow at that level. I never would have thought that it would be where it is now. But I think it's because of not pursuing all of that. I'm gonna sell things on this account, but just being myself about it. I think that's what's really done well with it.
Nice. I mean, if you're tuning in, ladies and gentlemen, Pit Talk, Pulling Pits and Opinions with Paul Johnson, the ultra runner, right? Let make sure you capitalize the. But it sounds like it's a good because I was talking. I don't know. I was talking to a gentleman that owns Wicked Bold Chocolate. His name is Derek Cahill. He said the same thing, man. He's like, marketing your business on social media is BS. Obviously, he didn't say it that way, but he was very passionate and very enthusiastic about what I promote myself. If you don't like me, he clicks people off, right? I don't give a F, he says, right? But if you do, you follow me and you like the advice that I give and, being very transparent, that's who I am. That's who I am. That's who I'm selling. I'm not selling you my chocolate. If you want to buy my chocolate or you want to buy my things that I got, sure, why not? That helps me too as a small business, but I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to be honest and transparent with you. And I think that's the same along the lines that what you got, Paul, is I don't want to sell you nothing because then it becomes another social media ad, another social media
Yeah.
market. But I can appreciate that's very humble. That's very it's very transparent. If you're listening in, tune in. Paul Johnson on Instagram. That's good advice. You know, you want to market yourself as a person before you can figure out what you actually want to business market, I guess per se. But that's good advice, man. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
And I mean, that's really how the social media side for me started. Is one of my friends about a year and a half ago, he's like, "Hey, you should do social media influencing stuff. I think you'd be good at it." I'm like, dude, what am I gonna show? Like, who really cares about what I'm doing? And he's like, no, just do it, do it. And he kept pushing me. And the more I thought about it, because I knew I was going to be separating from the Navy eventually, right? Everybody separates from the military at some point in one way or another. I was like, you know what? This is what could be a great lesson in business and marketing, because it's just like what you kind of said about selling yourself versus selling a product. I've learned so much about social media, even like human psychology a little bit of like how people interact with things and how they respond to different things through the social media. You know, it's developed me as an individual, but then also kind of that business mindset of how can I sell myself and what doors does that open for me in the future.
That's good, man. I've been watching, following you, and I'm trying to get to the take the 30-inch step to start running more. I heard there was like a thing. Somebody said to me, if you run more, you get better at it. Is that true in your opinion?
It's crazy, but yes.
I don't like to run more, to be honest. The Marine Corps wants me to run 3 miles. I'll run that faithfully every single day. When you talking about, when you're talking about 15 plus miles, come on, Paul. It's not even realistic, dude.
It's a warm up.
Yeah, warm up, dude. What the frick? Can you just quickly touch on the whole world record that you're trying to set here from LA to NYC?
Yeah. So I run a lot, and
Understatement.
it's something that I've thought about now for probably 2.5 years. It's like I have a goal to run across the United States. Not many people have done it, probably about less than 4. If you think about that in scale of comparison, like there's like 600 people that climb Mount Everest every year or attempt to climb Mount Everest every year. And that's every year, but like running across the US coast to coast, less than 400 like ever in the history of it.
Ever.
And it's just pretty wild. I mean, it's 3,000 miles, all sorts of weather and biomes and everything like that. But yeah, most people don't even want to drive it. Yeah, that's the thing. Most people don't even want to drive it. They like comment on my like the 100-mile races. They're like, dude, I don't even want to drive 100 miles, and you just freaking ran it. But yeah, running became a huge coping mechanism for me following my time in Rota in Spain, and then also just dealing with some stuff when I got back to San Diego. I didn't get big into running until the past year and a half, like the last 18 months, which is a huge jump in like my progression as a runner. But for me, the record is like a couple things. I think it'd be a super cool experience regardless, trying to do that 3,000 miles. The current record's it's 42 days, 6 hours, and 30 minutes. About 72 miles a day. I'm going to try to do it in 75, so that's 40 days of just running 75 miles a day, about 13 to 15 hours of running a day. That's the one piece of it. The other part, which is how I kind of talked about that coping mechanism, is making this almost like an awareness piece for mental health, right? I've had a lot of issues with anxiety, depression, sleep, all sorts of stuff following that tour in Spain. A lot of my peers have. A lot of service members and veterans all struggle with some form of most commonly anxiety and depression, just due to everything that those individuals are going through. Like statistically, being a service member, you are absolutely more prone than the average population for it, and it's a huge issue. And so for me, definitely not doing a lot of great things responding to it, but running has sort of helped me deal with all that. So promoting that through the run and also trying to fundraise $1 million for some veteran health and wellness charities along the way who, again, promote this getting out, being active. Me blacking out in Spain and waking up on a park bench at 7 a.m. and then trying to get to the ship pretty much almost still drunk to go do an inspection that day. Like that is, it's not an ideal spot to be in. And so running, obviously, a much better alternative. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create the awareness, the fundraising. The record's a super cool part about that, and it's a great selling point when you put it on a t-shirt or something like that. But that's what we're going to try to accomplish here in the next, I guess, 3 months now.
That's coming quick, pretty quick, man. I'm excited for you. I mean, I'll be there in spirit. I'll run a quarter of a mile every month. However long it takes you, I'll run a quarter of a mile every day for 42 days or 45 days.
I love it. That's more than zero. I'll take it.
I had to ask. It's a two-part question here. Obviously, your career has been successful in the Navy, and you had mentioned you're going to get out here pretty quick, and running has been a part of you, a coping mechanism. Can you give some advice for service members in general? I mean, ultra running is not everybody's forte, but give them some advice, right? If running's not it, what can we do? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it comes down to whether it's the military, whether it's, for me, the running, the social media, whatever it is that you're doing, is there's a balance to it, right? It's kind of like that work hard, play harder type of thing, where we're very good in the military community at, whether we enjoy it or not, we're very good at just putting our head down and getting the work done one way or another. We will find a way to get it done, and it's going to happen, and we're going to do it. And we may get task saturated with another thing afterwards, but we know how to work hard and just push through everything. But what we're not good at is that decompression part, or necessarily finding that balance, whether it's a leadership issue, not providing that time and space to do it, or it's that individual not using that time and space they've been provided to do that effectively. And I think that's the play harder part, where you can work super hard and be very successful, but ultimately I think it wears on you if you don't find a positive outlet. For me, it's the running, it's getting outside, going skiing, going hiking, doing something outdoors. For other people, there's different outlets: journaling, hanging out with friends, going out and partying in the evening or something. Like, everyone has their own thing. And I think that you have to be better at the decompression part than you are at the working part, which is that, work hard, be successful, what you want to do, but you've got to play harder. You've got to give yourself that time to enjoy yourself and do what you do. There's good ways of doing that, and there's bad ways of doing that. And that is what ultimately the balance between the two that leads to the success.
Balancing is a big deal, man. It's time management, priorities, family. For you, family's not one of the not issues, but some of the baggage that you have as a service member. There's obviously never enough time in the day, right? And there's never enough time to do something if you want to do something for yourself or a business endeavor or something like that, right? How do you prioritize Navy operations and obligations and temple and then running? Because I don't know if there's not 72 hours in a day, man.
No,
you can't run that much.
No, it's tough. And you're right. Like, I'm not immune to the fact that I have a slight advantage, right? Like we said in the beginning, I don't have any kids. I don't have a significant other. Like, I don't have some of those other things that a lot of people have to balance and juggle within their lives. I still have social obligations with other people. Like we were talking earlier about even just trying to get this podcast set up and to do. There's a lot of conflicts, and there's things to balance there. And then you look at the military, where it's not a normal job, where for a lot of people, and don't get me wrong, this isn't always the case, but for a lot of people, hey, you go to work, You're done with work, you go home, and it's off. You're not worrying about it anymore. But in the military, especially as you get more senior, whether it's COs or at the officer level, or even like for us, our leading petty officers, you start getting more responsibility and more things going on. It's very hard to keep the military and your regular life separate. There's no way to do it. They're always mixed together. And the way that I've personally found, the only way I can do what I want to do to not interfere with the military, because it's a government contract. They own me for this time being, and I have to do what they need to get done. But turns out nobody really does anything super early in the morning. Everyone's always sleeping. And so that's kind of what I've found is like my time to do what I want to do. I mean, you've seen it. I do the bulk of my running at like 3 in the morning before work. I do a lot of like work and emails and things like that on my personal side of things really late at night or really early in the morning because work's not typically going on at that time or other people aren't doing things at that time. And so it's definitely a stress on me to have to sometimes be up at those times, but that's ultimately what allows me to have the time that I want to do things the way I want to do them.
Yeah, that's 3 in the morning. So, I mean, I used to get up at 3 in the morning, but that was because I did that stuff back there. And yeah, that was rough. That's rough, dude. I mean, I applaud you. Who else is gonna do it if you don't? I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
somebody else, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I was watching a video the other day. David Goggins, super.
Oh
Whatever
yeah.
he is, I don't know. He's a different breed. He posted a video and he said, "It's humid. I'm out here running, blah blah blah. Trying to motivate us, even though there's no comparison, right?" And somebody pulled up beside him and goes, "Dude, why are you out here?" And he looked at him and said, "Because you're not." I was like, "That's deep, man." Because nobody, if I ain't doing it and you are, let's just say work together. At 3 in the morning, who's really more disciplined? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'm not waking up at 3 in the morning. I'm sleeping. Maybe 5. You got me at 5 in the morning, right, to get up. But who's really, passionate about what they do, getting up at 3 in the morning? That's Paul, man. That's crazy. And that's just not to conflict schedules with, Navy and big Navy operations and just your personal time. And you consider that decompression in the morning before work? Decompression happens in the
Yeah.
evening, homie. I don't know about you.
Well, I think you make a good point there. Is it's like you said passionate about it, right? And like that's my view on it is like my view isn't, oh, I'm out running and you're sleeping, so I'm more disciplined than you. It's like, no, that's not it at all. It's like
Oh,
I'm
okay.
doing something that I love doing. Is there a little bit of I get into work, it's like I've already run 15 miles and like you feel a little bit proud about it? Absolutely. But it's not like I walk up to the guy at the desk next to me, it's like, hey man, I ran this morning, what'd you do type of thing. It's just the running to me is it's something that I'm
Yeah.
passionate about, right? And regardless of what it is, I think that's what's important is what are you passionate about and how do you make it work? Because it's much easier now that I'm on this shore tour where I'm working in an office building as an instructor now. But like being on the ship, it is so difficult to try to get to do the things that you want to do. And even though I wasn't running when I was in Spain, I mean I ran a little bit like here or there, nothing like I am now, but like you get off watch at 3 in the morning. And that was the thing, it was like you go to the gym, nobody's there, nobody's calling you for a meeting. Like it's just dark and silent on the ship and you're just in there in the red lights working out by yourself. And it's like that it's I think a lot of people in the military can relate to the working out aspect, even if it's not the running, because I know most people hate running, and I'll convert them eventually to be runners. But a lot of them definitely like lifting and going to the gym. Like most people in the military can relate with that in some capacity. It's the same thing. It's that whether it's that pump or that decompression is the same for me with the running. where it's that chance to kind of take a deep breath and just chill out.
Hmm. Yeah, that's good, man. Because I mean, again, your decompression happens in the morning before work. Mine happens midday ish, right towards the afternoon, where I take 30 to 45 minutes just to slay my body in the Marines, and then I go home. And then for me, it works out that way because obviously I have obligations when I go home, and so if I can decompress before I go home, my mind is right and ready for the family and
Yeah.
the kids and the needs that I have at home. And so for me, it's kind of fine. For you, it's in the morning. For me, it's in the mid afternoon, and it just works for me, anyways. But you're saying it's a form of meditation for you. That's what it sounds like. You decompress. You get your mind right. But don't you need sleep at the same time, man? Like I don't understand this.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely an area that I need to improve on. Like ever since Spain, I don't sleep well. Like the only time I've ever slept through the night without waking up is if I was out drinking, which is
Mm.
kind of weird because alcohol does not help your sleep in any way. It makes it much worse. But when I got to San Diego, like I didn't, and I still don't like. I can't sleep through the night, and I've been trying for 2 years now. Finally, this January, they're gonna have a sleep study done for me. But I'm certain there's like a lot of other people. There's a correlation between everything that having to deal with on the ship, and then the transition is just working those 2 watches a day, waking up 2 3 times a night to go work. It just takes a toll on your body. So I think I generally I need less sleep than most people. I think that's independent of everything from Spain. But like I if you give me 4 or 5 hours of sleep, generally I'm good. Like I can do that for forever. I definitely feel it. I'm super tired, but like I can do that. And I think that's one of the things that definitely helps with whether it's good for me or not. It definitely helps with sustainment of the kind of schedule that I keep in allowing me to do those early morning activities day after day.
Yeah. Quick side note. So you wear a shirt that always has the letter RW. Is it RWG?
RWB.
Is that is? Oh, RWG. I'm sorry. Um, yeah, I can't see. I need my glasses, but I'm a little older than you, but not that much older, right? Only
Ancient.
8 years. Yeah, right. Um, what does that stand for? Can you tell us? And then can I get one, or is it just for runners?
Yeah, no, it's you can absolutely get one. Team RWB, Team Red, White, and Blue.
Oh, okay.
They're yeah, so they're one of they're the leading veteran health and wellness charity in the United States. I want to say I might mess this numbers up and they're going to get mad with me, but I think it's like 2 members or something. And it's basically kind of what we've talked about like today is it's like they understand and a lot of like we said a lot of people struggle with you leave the military, you're used to like you don't have that camaraderie, just that given
Mm.
camaraderie because you're in there like you don't necessarily have the same you know fitness routine as much as some people may hate it, you don't have the same fitness routines of PTing together. And their whole thing is it's like, hey, no matter where you go, we've got a group of like-minded individuals, whether it's veterans, active duty, or just people joining to support the organization. That's like one of their super cool things. They do these monthly challenges where, hey, this is, for example, they do like a Mogadishu mile. They do a bunch of 9/11 remembrance, whatever the theme is for that month. Here's the monthly workout challenge. They do all sorts of things with putting out plans to help you prepare for that challenge, putting on events to unite all the individuals from the different areas and different chapters is a really great like mindset of it is giving you that sense of community that a lot of people lose when they leave the military, which makes it kind of tough, and also promoting that healthy physical fitness aspect of it. So like if you want a shirt, you get a free shirt for just putting your name on the list. You don't even have to
Oh
do
shoot.
anything. So,
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
you can go
Okay.
check
Thank
them
God.
out. That's how I got my first free shirt, and then I've been doing a bunch of work with them since. But yeah, they're one of the organizations that we're looking at to fundraise the majority of the money for the cross country run coming up here in the spring.
RW, I like that. The red, white, and blue. Man, shoot, I'm pretty motivated now. And I was like, man, this is probably a runner's brand. I probably can't even get it without running 300 miles total. But thank God for it, because I want one of those shirts. It's pretty I always see, I'm like, is that Paul's brand? I don't even know if I don't never
No,
see
it's
anything.
charity organization. They're doing a lot of good work.
Absolutely, man. Because again, I mean, the previous guests that I've had, some of them retired, some of them got out, transitioned out early, and the same thing. They lose camaraderie, they lose purpose at the same time. It's a twofold thing, and then they just get depressed. And
Yes.
then you have suicide, right? And then you have this mental awareness kind of thing. And in all reality, is just pick up the phone, man, and call somebody. Not the person that's being depressed, but if we say we're a family like we say we are, call somebody, man. When's the last time you called, Lance Corporal so and so? Even though it's been 10 years, right? When's the last time you called them? Or when's the last time you called mom and dad for crying out loud, right? But just call somebody if that is the case. I think that we're better off because of it. Service members helping service members is the biggest thing. And that's what I'm here for. And I appreciate it. Now I'm gonna have to look up the RWB program because I'm all for it, man. I don't want to be that guy that I talk about every single week in terms of losing purpose, right? Even though I have purpose, it's right in front of me. I might just lose sight of it because I lost my Marine left to my right. You know what I'm saying? And it sounds like running doesn't really affect being a naval officer in a negative way. It sounds like it only benefits you. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, let's be real. The Navy and physical fitness is not that big of a requirement. We're on big steel ships, and as long as I can get from point A to point B across the ship and get to the galley to eat my food, there's not huge physical fitness requirements, right? And being honest, like, it shows for a lot of people, okay? But like there's whether it's advertised or not, there's minimum levels of fitness you've got to maintain. We're on a floating box in the water. If there's a fire on board, you have to put that fire out. And so you having like an SCBA, breathing bottle supposed to last 45 minutes, but you're out of shape and you're sucking down air and the bottle only lasts for 20 minutes, that becomes an issue now for your hose team, for everything.
Yeah.
Being able to wear a bottle and still fit through a 24-inch steel hole in the ground to get up and down between decks, going up and down stairs all day. I've fallen down ladder wells, but being able to like keep your footing, and there's so much balance and everything. It's, whether you realize it or not, there's a lot of physical fitness with it, even though it's not. I'm not like you guys rucking 15 miles with a huge pack on, or sprinting with my ammo cans type of thing.
Right.
But there is an aspect to it. So yeah, I've never had anybody in the Navy, junior or senior, be like, yeah, you're too physically fit. That's not something that you're going to hear.
Yeah.
And if anything else, I think a healthy body leads to a healthy mind. You can make more sound decisions.
Yeah, that's good.
And also there's just so much that goes into it.
That's good, man. Healthy body, healthy mind. That's great advice, man. It sounds like you had a bit of trouble in Spain, man, and maybe you didn't have the healthy mind, healthy body back then. And what did you face exactly? I mean, not to get it specifically. Again, your brand is transparency and authenticity, right? Is the right word. Just elaborate on what's going on in terms of your experience in Spain and what are the catalysts for running.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest part of Spain was the op tempo, which I think a lot of people in the military can relate with. And it was just one of those things where, for that forward deployed schedule, we have 4 ships covering all of the Mediterranean and basically 6 fleet area of operations. They're 2 out at a time, and then 2 are in port getting worked on. And it's, nominally it's a 4 months out on patrol, 4 months in port getting worked on type of cycle. But then if something's going on in the world, like you have to go respond to it. And so those schedules kind of shifted, and it became more of like a 6 months out, 2 months in. 6 months out, 2 months in, which is tough. You start coupling that with, what are you doing on the ship? I was working in engineering, and traditionally engineers have a little bit more work to do in port because that's when we're getting the repairs done. And it's like you're showing up to work in the dark at 6 in the morning. You're leaving when it's dark outside at 7, 8 p.m. at night, and then you're doing that day after day, standing duty days. It's just all the inspections, certifications, all those events. It starts to add up, and it's a lot. And then, also struggled with a lot of command issues in terms of that command climate on the ship. And so it just all culminates together. The stress of, even if you get rid of all that, the stress of the job of what we're doing, dealing with the Russians, dealing with other countries, and what our mission set is and what we're doing out there, it ends up being a lot, and people don't realize how much that stress kind of wears on you. And even if you're good and adept at handling it, it builds up over time, no matter who you are. And when it finally decompresses out, it can be a lot to handle and a lot to deal with. And so those were I think a lot of the issues that I felt, and like a lot of my peers, and I think about like my senior chief, my E8, who we're working with, that we all deal with, is it all that builds up. And so I think that's one of the issues. But the running and the physical fitness, that was people's chance to decompress. We get a bunch of JOs down in the gym hitting our treadmill for 15 minutes speed walking, because it can be difficult to run on the ship sometimes, but getting our speed walk and sweat in together, it's like, all right, cool, we're good, we're decompressed, let's go deal with the next task that we got to do today.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. That op tempo seems rough. I hear about it all the time. Dudes on the sub, they are crazy.
Oh yeah,
That's all I hear
you're
is
not gonna catch me
crazy
down
stories. it's it's wild, but it's good, man. It's good that you're being, transparent as you say you want to be, and it's stressful. It really is. Other people's jobs in the military are different than others, in different op tempos, and it sounds like it was a heavy load. And it sounds like, as you said previous, alcohol was a big factor in decompression. Even though that's not a decompression tool, it just makes things worse. Right? It's kind of a temporary band-aid over it, right? But while you were in Spain, or is it when you came back that running was like, oh shoot, this is my way?
I mean, running was just another form of working out in Spain. So I would work out a lot, but I did maybe ran like once or twice a week. Nothing like I'm doing now. And then when I got to San Diego, again, I didn't do anything for like a year when I was there. I was still working out, but not doing running. I didn't get into running until like my last 6 months in San Diego. And then that's when, because one of my buddies, he's a Marine officer. He's like, hey, let's run the Marine Corps marathon. And that was kind of what kind of took off on things with the running.
Nice. Hey, run with the Marines. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing the Sergeant Major's hometown running marathon, whatever it is.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not super excited because I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm excited because we got a team. Me and the Marines decided, like, hey, let's do it.
Yeah.
It's me and four junior Marines. And I'm pretty excited because, they keep me accountable. They hold me accountable to the physical standard, and I appreciate that as an old head. San Diego, Spain. Sounds like you had fun, man. Service member. Can you give some? Let's go to the running part, man. Dynamics. Do you like swing your arms? Do you do T-Rex style running? Or are you like a whaler? Right? Are you a wobbler? What is it that you do that's so special? Or, give me some advice, man, because I run 3 miles and I would like to run more, but it's fine. Finding the motivation is rough.
Yeah. To me, it all depends on what you're trying. Like you look at a sprinter on the track, like their arms are flying. But then you look at what we kind of do in the ultra world, and everything's like super compact and we're not really moving a lot, right? So it depends on what you're trying to do. But when people are trying to get into running, I just tell them, they're like, I can't even run a mile without getting tired. Great. Then run as far as you can. Run 5 minutes, right? And you don't have to be fast. Everyone thinks you have to be fast. You do not have to be fast for these things. Jog for 5 minutes, walk for 5 minutes, and then you just repeat that. And then eventually you're going to be able to jog for 10 minutes, walk for 5, like doing kind of that on off cycle.
Huh. I like that.
That's one of the easiest ways to build up the physical fitness and like that aerobic capacity to do the running. For me, on the ultra side of things, it's all about efficiency. Because if I'm running for 24 hours, it doesn't matter how fast I am if I have to stop. So it's all about just like I think of myself like a freight train. Like I just got to keep moving nice and slow, consistent energy burn, and that's how you succeed at these things. If I'm stopping to rest or to sleep, that is time I'm not spending running when it comes to like the race, right? And so the whole style for like the ultra running is how efficient can you be and how little energy can you burn? Like I don't you look at like the beautiful form, like you think like the marathon runners, you see like their feet kicking up behind them in these huge circles. It's like
Yeah.
my feet barely leave the ground when I run. It's like toe comes up and it just grazes across the surface. Like I'm trying to burn as little energy as possible. And so it's like I'm not breathing heavily. People are always like, "You're not even working hard when you're running." You're like, "You're right. I'm not. I'm not working hard because I'm sweating and I'm working." But it's all about that energy conservation, and that's what allows me to do the longer distances.
It's great. Interesting. The runners on the legs, I have noticed that before because I've
Yeah,
always, I dabble in here in running dynamics and see if I can get any better. But, at the end of the day, I just run 3 miles and then I'm good with it. Right. But that's good. It's good running efficiency. Have you ever thought of, shoot, doing like trying out for the Olympics?
I had when I finished the Marine Corps marathon. Was it over the last year? Not this past year, but the year before. I was like, I was pretty happy. I did well. I think I did like 2 hour 56 minute. Like I trained for it. I was like, I'm so fast. Like I'm the fastest man alive type of thing. I was like, what's next? Oh, I'm gonna go to the Olympics. No, I'm not going to the Olympics. But like that would be like 10 years of dedicating to like marathon running. Um, which totally doable. Like anybody could definitely do that because the marathon, like these endurance sports, it's like right around your like mid to late 20s and like early 30s is where you start. Like that's the age of all these elite athletes is they're in like those late 20s to 30s, just with body development and how we respond to their running. But yeah, I thought about it for about a month, and then I realized I hate marathons. I'll run a 100-mile race any day of the week, but I every time I run a marathon, I hurt myself. It's just a sprint the whole time, and I hate it. So
Oh,
it
that
was a pipe
stinks.
dream for about 1 month, and I was like, I'm not doing this.
Dude, that would have been dope. So there's nothing else that you can do in terms of track and field with it? I swear ultra running is a thing. I don't know what it's not an
Yeah,
Olympic thing.
it's becoming past 2 years. It's become much bigger, especially I think post COVID, as a lot of people have taken to running since then. The thing with the Olympics is you can't sell it. It's not exciting to watch, right? If I'm,
Stop it.
I mean, it's exciting to watch, but the amount of time that it takes to do these events
Yeah, that's
is
true.
from like an economical standpoint for them, and it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, we'll start
Like
you off at the beginning and then
yeah,
and towards the end of the Olympics we'll watch you guys.
exactly. Like if my mom came to, I had a race out in France this past year, and my mom came to watch, and it's like, except for like the live tracking on the phone, it's like through the mountain. She's like, she saw me 3 times in 40 hours for like 5 minutes each. So it's not necessarily the largest spectator friendly sport. Um,
Yeah.
it can be like if you're posted up watching all the runners go by, but if you're trying to like watch an individual person, it's not a spectator friendly sport.
Yeah. That's crazy. You're all over the place, man. I watch you as you go to these different spots. Do you get invited based off, how you do on a certain marathon, or you just sign up for it and you fly out, pay for a ticket and go?
For the most part, just sign up and go. The France race was, I mean, I had to pay to go, but it was an invite because that is like UTMB Ultra Trail de Mont Blanc is like the Super Bowl of ultra running and trail running. It's held in France every year. You start in France, you run miles through the Alps, like into Italy, Switzerland, back into France, all in one race. And that is, it's very difficult to get into. So I had to qualify for that one based off of one of my other races I did earlier in the year. So like that was an invite to go to that one. But otherwise, it's just find a race on the internet, sign up, and go do it.
Oh, that's right, because you're sponsoring Paul. Not hey, I see sponsorship down the road. Don't worry about it. I see it. So the races are gonna come, dude.
We got some stuff in the works for the run across the country. So we'll see what comes of that.
That's what's up, man. I'm excited for you, Paul. I appreciate it, man. Where can service members reach you at? I know that you're talking about RWB and some of the mental health stuff and things that help you cope and better be a better person, better service member, better overall individual. How can service members reach you at to get just decompress, if you will, with Paul?
Yeah, I mean, Instagram's where I do most of my stuff. So I'm on Instagram as Powley Johnson. It's just Paul Johnson, but the L's an I. I've started to get YouTube going. It's kind of on its first legs, but yeah, Instagram's the main way to reach me.
Sweet. Again, this is your show, man. Excuse me. One last two raw. What can the floor is yours. However long you want to take. Finish at the top. What kind of advice you want to give, or anything last minute save rounds? For service members that are listening today.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is understanding at some point your time in the military is going to end. And some people it's sooner than others. And it's not so much like a promotion of, hey, get out of the military and go do something. It's find something you're passionate about and start pursuing it now. Because it's only going to benefit you now in your time in the service. And it gives you something to sort of hold on to as you start to separate. Or you start dealing with some tough times. Everyone's going to deal with at some point. So finding that thing that you're starting to get passionate about and start exploring some of that while you're in the military, or even if you're out. I think that's the most important part. I mean, that's how the social media took off for me. Is I wasn't pursuing anything. I wasn't pursuing social media. I was just pursuing running and expressing myself through that. And as long as you're doing something that you enjoy, everything else is going to kind of fall into place there. And so that would be the biggest thing: is start finding something you enjoy. Even like I've had jobs I don't enjoy in the military, and I dread going to work every day. But then there's other ways to deal with that. Develop those relationships with your peers, your subordinates, your seniors. Those are some of my best friendships I have are previous COs, my friends that I was in Spain with. Those are the individuals, and I spent 1 year of my life with them, but I'm better friends with them than anyone else I've known for 27 years. So
that's crazy.
Really leaning on those friendships and those connections to sort of whatever you're dealing with or whatever you're going to pursue in life. You've been provided a lot through the military, and just leverage it. Find something you enjoy doing, leverage those connections, and just stay in touch with each other.
Hey, work hard, play hard, ladies and gentlemen. We got Paul Johnson on here, the Paul Johnson Experience. Crazy ultra runner. If you don't follow him on Instagram and wherever else he's trying to endeavor in terms of social media. Dude, I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule, man. You're an inspiration to me. And, I want to be a better runner. Looking at you, what you do, your consistency. Right? This taught me over here discipline above all else. And that taught me while I was there. But when I got out of that environment, it's just kind of like hard to sustain, And you bring inspiration to myself, right? Who wants to do more than just 3 miles. So I appreciate that, man. Keep up with the hard work. If only you inspire one, you have inspired me today in the last hour. So I appreciate it very much, Paul. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Pit Talk, Pulling Pits and Opinions with your host, Gunny G. And we out. It's perfect. Hey, Paul, I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, of course.
One last thing. Stand by, contact. Ceasefire. Stand by, contact. Ceasefire.
Pit Talk is a podcast featuring active service members who discuss their thoughts and opinions on various issues surrounding military life, current events, and history. The statements heard here are the opinions of its members and guests. These do not necessarily reflect the views of the Department of Defense and are not endorsed or sponsored in any way. Listener, viewer discretion advised.